All right, if you're a 3D artist, you know that pain, staring at a render progress bar, just begging it to move faster. Well, today, we're gonna fix that. Let's build the perfect PC for KeyShot together. This is the ultimate hardware guide for 2026.
And isn't that just the absolute truth? It is the single biggest bottleneck to creativity. You know the feeling? That agonizing wait while your awesome idea slowly, pixel by agonizing pixel, comes to life on screen? It's frustrating, and it totally kills your momentum.
So that's the million-dollar question, right? Because it's not as simple as it used to be. The scenes are bigger, the textures are higher res, and the technology has completely changed. So let's really break it all down.
Okay, first up, the rendering slowdown problem. Before we can build the right PC, we have to understand why the relationship between KeyShot and your hardware has totally changed. It's a different game now.
For years, the mantra was so simple. Just get more CPU cores and your renders will be faster. End of story. But that's old news. Nowadays, modern KeyShot uses both. It uses your CPU for all those complex calculations and the final output, and it uses your GPU to make the viewport feel snappy and to power the real-time ray tracing. So the key takeaway here is balance. A monster CPU is basically wasted without a good GPU, and the other way around too.
So, with that in mind, let's get into the core components. Think of these as the 4 essential building blocks you need to assemble a true rendering powerhouse.
First up, the CPU. It really is still the heart of KeyShot, especially for that final, high-quality, I'm done with this project render. The rule of thumb is easy. More cores equals more power. Simple as that. For everyday users, something like a Ryzen 5 or an Intel i5 is a great start. But if you're a professional, you really want to be looking at a Ryzen 9 or an i9. And for studios, well, that's where the big guns like Threadripper or Xeon come in to absolutely slash those render times.
Next up is RAM. And I absolutely love this analogy. Think of your RAM as your digital workbench. The bigger and more complicated your scene is, the more workbench space you need to lay out all the parts. If you don't have enough RAM, that's when KeyShot starts to slow down, stutter, or even crash right in the middle of your work.
So how much workbench space do you actually need? For most professional creators in 2026, 32 gigabytes is the safe bet. It's the new standard, really. It's that sweet spot that lets you handle complex models, big environments, and a ton of high-res textures without your system choking. Yeah, you can get by with 16, but 32 gigs gives you that critical breathing room for a smooth, stress-free workflow.
And now for the GPU, which is basically your rendering accelerator. This is absolutely essential for KeyShot's fast GPU rendering mode and for keeping that real-time viewport buttery smooth. And for this job, let's be honest, NVIDIA's RTX cards are the undisputed champions. Why? Because of their dedicated RT cores. Think of them as tiny, specialized engines built for one thing and one thing only: ray tracing. They can just dramatically cut down your render times. Now, when you're looking at a GPU, the single most important spec to check is the VRAM, the video memory. It's like RAM, but it's exclusively for your graphics card. If you're working with huge scenes or tons of really detailed textures, you have to have enough VRAM to hold all that data. So aiming for 16 gigabytes or more isn't just a suggestion, it's pretty much crucial to make sure your GPU can handle the entire scene without hitting a bottleneck. And finally, let's talk storage. Look, a fast NVMe SSD isn't a luxury anymore. It's a flat-out necessity. The speed difference when you're loading up big models, environments, and material libraries is just night and day. A 1 terabyte NVMe drive for your operating system and your active projects, that's the perfect starting point.
Okay, so we've covered the individual parts. Let's move on to Section 3, matching specs to your work. Now we get to translate all that technical jargon into the perfect build for your specific workflow.
This table lays it all out pretty clearly. The minimum specs on the left, yeah, they'll get KeyShot running, but you're going to feel the pain with anything complex. The recommended column on the right, that's where you unlock a truly smooth and creative experience. Notice the big jumps? We're talking 32 gigs of RAM, a dedicated NVIDIA RTX card, and that fast NVMe storage. That's the real standard for professional work today.
So, who needs to go even bigger? Well, if your work falls into any of these categories, like automotive design, aerospace, super detailed jewelry visualization, anything with heavy animation, then a full-on workstation is not overkill. A machine with a high core count CPU like a Threadripper and a professional RTX GPU isn't an expense. It's a smart investment that's going to save you literally countless hours.
All right, on to my favorite part, the example builds.
Let's take all this theory and put it all together into some concrete examples of PCs you could build right now.
We're going to look at 3 different tiers, designed to match whatever your needs and budget are. We've got a solid entry-level build, a powerful professional workstation, and then the absolute top-tier studio machine.
First up, the budget or entry-level build. This is a fantastic, cost-effective starting point, perfect for students or maybe designers working on simpler product visuals. The key here is balance. You've got a capable 6-core CPU, a healthy 16 to 32 gigs of RAM, and a modern NVIDIA RTX card like the 4060. This setup gives you a really solid foundation for a smooth workflow right from day one.
Next, we've got the professional build. This is the workhorse. This is the machine for most full-time 3D artists and designers. Here, we're stepping it up to a powerful 12 or 16-core CPU, a robust 32 to 64 gigs of RAM, and a high-performance RTX card, like a 4070 or 4080 with plenty of VRAM. This machine is designed for one thing: speed. It's built to handle complex scenes and animations without breaking a sweat.
And finally, the beast, the studio or high-end build. This is the top of the line, the no-compromises machine, built for maximum performance. We are talking workstation-class CPUs with 24, 32, even 64 cores. We're talking 128 gigabytes of RAM or more, and the most powerful GPUs you can get, like an RTX 4090 or a professional A6000. This is for the studios where every second of render time literally costs money and performance can't be compromised.
So, after all those specs, all those numbers, what's the real point of all this? Let's just zoom out for a second and talk about the final, and honestly, the most important takeaway here. This right here. This is it. Investing in the right hardware isn't just about making you faster. It's about setting you free. It gives you the freedom to experiment, to iterate, to try that wild, crazy idea without worrying about a 10-hour render. It lets you focus on your art, not on the progress bar.
So to make it super simple, here's your plan. Step 1, be really honest about the kind of work you do and how complex it is. Step 2, match your components, your CPU, your RAM, your GPU, to that workload. And step 3, don't forget to optimize the whole thing with fast storage and a great monitor.
And so I'll leave you with this one question to think about. I want you to take a hard look at your current computer and ask yourself, is this machine a tool that's empowering you, or is it a barrier that's secretly holding back your creative potential? Think about it. Thanks for watching.